Every life, when the hardest thing to do is not to fight, not to run, but simply to wait. We live in a world that celebrates speed, applauds instant success, and measures worth by how quickly dreams become reality. Yet some of the most beautiful stories were never written in a hurry. The tallest trees did not reach the sky overnight. The strongest rivers did not carve mountains in a single day, and the wisest hearts were not shaped without seasons of quiet endurance. Perhaps the delay you resent today is preparing the strength you will depend on tomorrow. Perhaps the closed door is not a punishment, but a pause, giving you time to become the person capable of walking through the right one. So before you surrender to frustration, before you mistake waiting for failure, stay with me until the end. Because patience is not the silence between two moments, it is the unseen force that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary souls. And by the end of this journey, you may discover that what you thought was holding you back has been guiding you forward all along. There is a quiet kind of strength that rarely receives applause. It does not demand attention, and it does not announce its arrival with noise. It is the strength that allows a person to keep believing when the evidence is scarce, to keep planting seeds when the ground appears empty, and to keep showing kindness when life has not always been kind in return. Patience is often mistaken for weakness because it moves gently, but gentleness has never been the opposite of power. The greatest mountains stand in silence. The deepest oceans make no effort to prove their depth. And the most enduring people understand that lasting victories are built one faithful step at a time. Many of us have been taught to chase life as though every dream has an expiration date. We compare our beginnings with someone else's middle, and our private struggles with another person's public celebration. In doing so, we forget that every life follows its own rhythm. A flower that blooms in spring is no more successful than one that blossoms in autumn. Each fulfills its purpose when the season is right. Your journey was never designed to imitate another person's path. The delays you experience may not be signs that you are forgotten. They may simply be reminders that your story is being written with greater care than you can presently understand. Think about the moments that have shaped your character the most. Rarely were they the easy days when everything unfolded exactly as planned. More often, they were the seasons filled with uncertainty, disappointment, and unanswered questions. Those were the days that quietly taught resilience, compassion, and wisdom. While you believed nothing was happening, something remarkable was taking place within you. Your courage was becoming steadier. Your faith was becoming deeper. Your heart was learning to remain open even after it had known disappointment. Growth often happens beneath the surface, long before anyone can see its results. Patience also protects us from becoming prisoners of our emotions. Decisions made in anger often create regrets that last far longer than the anger itself. Choices made in fear can close doors that were meant to remain open. But when patience enters the room, clarity follows. It gives us the gift of perspective. It reminds us that not every silence needs an immediate answer, and not every obstacle requires an instant reaction. Sometimes the wisest response is to pause long enough for understanding to catch up with emotion. In that pause, we often discover opportunities that haste would have caused us to overlook. So if life feels slower than you hoped, do not mistake the pace for failure. Continue to learn, continue to love, continue to prepare, and continue to believe that every meaningful step has value, even when no one is watching. One day, you will look back and realize that the waiting did not steal your life, it refined it. The patience that once felt like a burden became the very foundation of your strength, your peace, and your purpose. And in that realization, you will understand a timeless truth. When you learn to master patience, you do far more than endure the passing of time. You learn the beautiful art of living with hope, grace, and unwavering confidence in what is yet to come. There are moments when life will place you at a crossroads, and every voice around you will urge you to move quickly. Fear will whisper that if you do not act immediately, you will lose your chance. Pride will insist that you must prove yourself without delay. Anger will persuade you that the fastest response is the strongest one. But wisdom speaks with a quieter voice. It reminds you that every important decision deserves the gift of time. Patience is not the absence of action, it is the discipline of refusing to let temporary emotions make permanent choices. It teaches you that a calm heart can see possibilities that a troubled mind will always overlook. Think of the words that have been spoken in moments of frustration. Many relationships have been wounded not because love disappeared, but because patience did. A single sentence spoken in anger can echo for years, while a few moments of silence can preserve a lifetime of trust. The strongest people are not those who always have the perfect answer. They are the ones who know when silence is more powerful than argument, and when listening carries greater strength than speaking. Every pause creates room for understanding, and every thoughtful response builds bridges that reckless reactions often destroy. Fear has a way of making tomorrow look darker than it truly is. It convinces us that every delay is a disaster and every obstacle is the end of the road. Yet history has shown that many of life's greatest blessings arrived after seasons that seemed impossible to endure. If every door opened the moment we knocked, we might never develop the character needed to walk through it. Sometimes life delays our arrival because it is preparing us for responsibilities we cannot yet imagine. What feels like rejection today may one day reveal itself as remarkable protection. Consider the sculptor standing before a block of stone. No masterpiece appears with the first strike of the chisel. Every careful movement removes what is unnecessary until beauty begins to emerge. In much the same way, patience shapes the human spirit. It chips away at impulsiveness, softens arrogance, strengthens humility, and reveals a character capable of carrying success without being consumed by it. The process is slow, and at times it can feel uncomfortable, but the finest works of art have always required time. There is also freedom in accepting that not everything must happen according to your schedule. The sun never apologizes for rising at its appointed hour, and the stars never compete to shine before night arrives. Nature teaches us that timing has its own wisdom. The river reaches the ocean not by rushing with panic, but by continuing to flow around every obstacle placed before it. In the same way, your progress does not depend on constant speed. It depends on consistent faithfulness. Every honest effort, every lesson learned, and every act of perseverance moves you closer to the life you are becoming. So when your emotions urge you to make decisions you may later regret, remember that patience is one of the greatest forms of courage. It allows you to replace panic with peace, reaction with reflection, and fear with quiet confidence. It reminds you that your future is too valuable to be directed by a passing feeling. Stand firmly in your values, Trust the lessons each season brings, and refuse to let impatience write the next chapter of your story. The choices you make from a place of peace will always carry greater strength than those born from anxiety, because a patient heart does not merely survive life's storms, it learns how to rise above them with grace, wisdom, and an unshakable sense of purpose. It is easy to believe that nothing is happening when life becomes quiet. We often measure progress by visible results, by milestones achieved, by dreams fulfilled, and by doors opening exactly when we expect them to. But life has never been limited to what the eyes can see. Some of the most meaningful transformations happen in places where applause cannot reach and where no audience is watching. A seed buried beneath the soil appears lifeless to anyone passing by, yet beneath the surface it is stretching, strengthening, and preparing for the moment it will break through into the light. In much the same way, your waiting season may be the very place where your greatest growth is taking root. There is a difference between standing still and becoming still. Standing still can feel like surrender, but becoming still is often an act of trust. It is choosing to believe that every day has value, even when it looks ordinary. The person who spends a season learning, healing, practicing, and reflecting is not falling behind. That person is building a foundation that cannot easily be shaken. While others chase quick rewards, those who embrace patience are quietly developing qualities that last far beyond temporary success. They are becoming wiser in their decisions, kinder in their words, and stronger in their character. Too many people abandon their dreams because they mistake slow progress for no progress. They become discouraged when the finish line remains distant, forgetting that every meaningful achievement is built from countless small steps that often go unnoticed. A musician practices long before stepping onto a stage. A writer fills page after page before publishing a single book. A gardener waters the soil day after day before seeing the first blossom appear. None of these efforts are wasted simply because the results are delayed. Every quiet moment of preparation adds another layer of strength to what will eventually be revealed. Patience also teaches us to appreciate the journey instead of living only for the destination. If happiness depends entirely on reaching the next goal, life becomes an endless race with no lasting peace. But when you learn to find meaning in today's lessons, today's conversations, and today's opportunities to grow, every season becomes worthwhile. Even the difficult days begin to carry purpose because they are shaping someone stronger than the person you were yesterday. The road itself becomes part of the reward, not merely the distance between where you are and where you hope to be. Never underestimate the quiet victories that happen within you. Every time you choose hope over despair, you have grown. Every time you forgive instead of holding bitterness, you have grown. Every time you remain faithful to your values despite disappointment, you have grown. These victories may never appear on a certificate or earn public recognition, yet they are the victories that define a meaningful life. Character is not built in moments of comfort. It is formed in the ordinary choices we make when no one is watching and when giving up seems easier than moving forward. So if your path feels slower than you imagined, do not waste your waiting by believing it has no purpose. Fill it with learning, with compassion, with gratitude, and with quiet determination. Continue becoming the person your future is waiting to meet. One day, the opportunities you have prayed for will arrive, and you will realize they did not come too late. They came at the moment when your heart, your mind, and your spirit were finally ready to carry them with humility and grace. That is the beautiful secret of patience. It is never asking you to simply wait for life to change. It is inviting you to become someone greater while life unfolds, so that when your season finally arrives, you are prepared not only to receive the blessing, but also to honor it with wisdom, strength, and unwavering purpose. It is easy to believe that nothing is happening when life becomes quiet. We often measure progress by visible results, by milestones achieved, by dreams fulfilled, and by doors opening exactly when we expect them to. But life has never been limited to what the eyes can see. Some of the most meaningful transformations happen in places where applause cannot reach, and where no audience is watching. A seed buried beneath the soil appears lifeless to anyone passing by, yet beneath the surface it is stretching, strengthening, and preparing for the moment it will break through into the light. In much the same way, your waiting season may be the very place where your greatest growth is taking root. There is a difference between standing still and becoming still. Standing still can feel like surrender, but becoming still is often an act of trust. It is choosing to believe that every day has value, even when it looks ordinary. The person who spends a season learning, healing, practicing, and reflecting is not falling behind. That person is building a foundation that cannot easily be shaken. While others chase quick rewards, those who embrace patience are quietly developing qualities that last far beyond temporary success. They are becoming wiser in their decisions, kinder in their words, and stronger in their character. Too many people abandon their dreams because they mistake slow progress for no progress. They become discouraged when the finish line remains distant, forgetting that every meaningful achievement is built from countless small steps that often go unnoticed. A musician practices long before stepping onto a stage. A writer fills page after page before publishing a single book. A gardener waters the soil day after day before seeing the first blossom appear. None of these efforts are wasted simply because the results are delayed. Every quiet moment of preparation adds another layer of strength to what will eventually be revealed. Patience also teaches us to appreciate the journey instead of living only for the destination. If happiness depends entirely on reaching the next goal, life becomes an endless race with no lasting peace. But when you learn to find meaning in today's lessons, today's conversations, and today's opportunities to grow, every season becomes worthwhile. Even the difficult days begin to carry purpose because they are shaping someone stronger than the person you were yesterday. The road itself becomes part of the reward, not merely the distance between where you are and where you hope to be. Never underestimate the quiet victories that happen within you. Every time you choose hope over despair, you have grown. Every time you forgive instead of holding bitterness, you have grown. Every time you remain faithful to your values despite disappointment, you have grown. These victories may never appear on a certificate or earn public recognition, yet they are the victories that define a meaningful life. Character is not built in moments of comfort. It is formed in the ordinary choices we make when no one is watching and when giving up seems easier than moving forward. So if your path feels slower than you imagined, do not waste your waiting by believing it has no purpose. Fill it with learning, with compassion, with gratitude, and with quiet determination. Continue becoming the person your future is waiting to meet. One day, the opportunities you have prayed for will arrive, and you will realize they did not come too late. They came at the moment when your heart, your mind, and your spirit were finally ready to carry them with humility and grace. That is the beautiful secret of patience. It is never asking you to simply wait for life to change. It is inviting you to become someone greater while life unfolds, so that when your season finally arrives, you are prepared not only to receive the blessing, but also to honor it with wisdom, strength, and unwavering purpose. Every delay has a language of its own, though it rarely speaks in words we immediately understand. In the moment, a delay feels like an interruption, an unwanted pause between hope and fulfillment. We question why the opportunity has not arrived, why the answer has not come, or why the path has become longer than we expected. Yet time has a remarkable way of revealing what impatience could never see. When we finally look back, we often realize that what seemed like an obstacle was quietly redirecting us towards something better. The lesson was never hidden because life wished to confuse us. It was hidden because wisdom often needs time before it can be recognized. Imagine if every wish were granted the instant it entered your heart. There would be little room for growth, reflection, or understanding. We would celebrate achievements without appreciating the effort that made them meaningful. It is often the waiting that teaches us the true value of what we are pursuing. The longer a traveler walks through the desert, the more deeply they cherish a single drop of water. The longer we work toward a dream, the more grateful we become when it finally rests in our hands. Delay has a way of deepening appreciation, turning ordinary blessings into extraordinary gifts. Sometimes the lesson within a delay is not about changing your circumstances, but about changing your perspective. There are seasons when the world around you remains the same, yet everything inside you begins to transform. You become more patient with people who think differently. You become more compassionate toward those carrying invisible burdens. You become less concerned with proving yourself and more committed to becoming your best self. These changes are not loud, but they are powerful. They shape the kind of person who can carry success with humility instead of pride, and influence others through kindness instead of control. There will also be moments when a delayed opportunity protects you from a path that was never meant for you. At first, disappointment can feel impossible to accept. You may believe that life has forgotten your efforts or ignored your prayers. But as the years pass, you begin to notice the connections that once seemed invisible. The closed door prevented unnecessary pain. The postponed plan allowed a better one to unfold. The unexpected detour introduced you to people who transformed your life. What once felt like loss becomes evidence that timing possesses a wisdom beyond our limited understanding. Patience teaches us that not every lesson arrives wrapped in comfort. Some lessons come through failure, teaching us resilience. Others come through loneliness, teaching us the importance of genuine connection. Some arrive through uncertainty, reminding us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep moving despite it. These experiences are not meant to diminish your spirit. They are polishing it. Just as rough stones become smooth through years of flowing water, the human heart gains depth through experiences that demand endurance rather than instant relief. So the next time life asks you to wait longer than you expected, resist the temptation to believe that your story has stopped moving. The pages are still turning, even if the chapter feels quiet. Every sunrise continues its journey, whether clouds hide it or not, and every meaningful dream continues to unfold, even when progress seems invisible. Hold on to your purpose with quiet confidence. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing that today's delay is preparing tomorrow's breakthrough. One day, what once tested your patience will become the very testimony that inspires someone else to keep going, proving that every delay carried not only a lesson, but also the strength, wisdom, and grace that your future self would one day be grateful to possess. There comes a point in every journey when the road ahead disappears into the horizon. You can no longer see where it leads, and every step feels like an act of faith rather than certainty. These are the moments that test not your ability, but your trust. It is easy to keep walking when the destination is visible. It is far more difficult to continue when the path bends beyond your sight. Yet life has always revealed its greatest wonders to those who were willing to move forward without demanding to know every answer in advance. The future has never handed out maps to those who seek certainty. Instead, it offers quiet invitations to those who have the courage to believe that every faithful step matters, even when they cannot yet understand where it is leading. We often think clarity should come before commitment. We tell ourselves that we will move once every question has been answered and every doubt has disappeared. But if you wait for complete certainty, you may spend your entire life standing at the edge of possibility. Growth asks something different of us. It asks us to take the next right step with the wisdom we have today, trusting that tomorrow's understanding will arrive when tomorrow becomes today. The bridge does not always appear all at once. Sometimes it is built beneath your feet as you keep moving with patience and conviction. Look at the people whose lives have left a lasting mark on the world. Few of them began with perfect confidence or a guaranteed outcome. Many walked through seasons filled with unanswered questions, unexpected setbacks, and moments when quitting seemed reasonable. They continued not because they knew success was waiting around the corner, but because they refused to let uncertainty become stronger than their purpose. Their stories remind us that faith is not believing the road will always be easy. It is believing that every challenge can become part of a greater story if we refuse to stop walking. There is a quiet beauty in not knowing everything. If the entire journey were revealed on the first day, there would be little room for surprise, discovery, or transformation. Some friendships enter your life unexpectedly and become lifelong treasures. Some opportunities arrive through doors you never intended to open. Some of your greatest strengths are discovered only because life placed you in situations you never planned to face. The unknown is not always something to fear. Often, it is the place where life's most meaningful gifts are waiting to be uncovered. When the destination is hidden, it becomes tempting to measure your progress by what you have not yet achieved. But a wiser measure is to ask who you are becoming along the way. Are you more compassionate than you were a year ago? Have you learned to forgive more freely? Have disappointments made you bitter, or have they made you wiser? These are the milestones that truly matter. Success that changes only your circumstances is temporary, but growth that changes your character remains with you for a lifetime. The journey is shaping more than your future. It is shaping the person who will one day arrive there. So if you find yourself walking through a season where the destination remains hidden, do not lose heart. Continue with steady determination, even if today's progress feels small. Every sunrise reminds us that light returns, even after the longest night. Every river reaches the sea not because it can see the ocean from its source, but because it keeps flowing through every twist, every stone, and every valley placed in its path. Let your life follow that same quiet confidence. Trust that every lesson has a purpose, every delay carries meaning, and every step taken with patience brings you closer to a future that is unfolding with remarkable care. One day, you will stand at a place you once could not imagine, and you will realize that the destination was never the greatest gift. The greatest gift was the person you became because you found the courage to trust the journey long before you could see where it would end. One of the quietest thieves of joy is comparison. It enters our lives without warning, convincing us to measure our progress against someone else's achievements. We celebrate another person's success with our words, yet secretly question our own worth because our journey looks different. We scroll through stories of accomplishments, milestones, and victories, forgetting that we are seeing only a single chapter of lives we do not fully know. Comparison has a way of making us believe we are late, even when we are exactly where we need to be. But life has never asked you to become someone else. It has only asked you to become the fullest version of yourself. The sun and the moon never compete for the same sky. Each has its own hour, its own purpose, and its own beauty. No one calls the sunrise a failure because it did not appear at midnight, and no one criticizes the stars for waiting until darkness falls before they begin to shine. Nature understands something we often forget. Timing is not a competition. Every season carries its own responsibility, and every season arrives precisely when it is meant to. Your life follows that same quiet wisdom. There is no prize for blooming before you are ready, and there is no shame in taking the time needed to grow strong roots before reaching toward the light. There will always be people who seem to arrive before you. Someone will earn the promotion first. Someone will build a business sooner. Someone will write the book, buy the home, or achieve the dream you have been working toward. If you allow their timeline to become the measure of your own, you will spend your life chasing peace instead of living in it. Another person's success does not announce your failure. It simply proves that possibilities exist. Their victory is not evidence that there is less waiting for you. The sky does not run out of stars because one begins to shine. Remember that every person carries a story you cannot see. Behind every visible achievement are unseen sacrifices, disappointments, and lessons that shape the journey. Some people arrive quickly because their path is shorter. Others travel longer because they are being prepared for different responsibilities. A tree that grows slowly often develops deeper roots, allowing it to withstand storms that would uproot a weaker one. In the same way, your slower pace may be giving you the resilience that your future will require. What feels like delay may actually be preparation, wearing the disguise of patience. Instead of asking, "Why am I not where they are?" ask a different question. Who am I becoming on the way to where I am meant to be? That single shift changes everything. It moves your attention away from envy and toward growth. It reminds you that the greatest achievement is not arriving first, but arriving with integrity, wisdom, compassion, and a heart that has not been hardened by impatience. Success gained without character can disappear as quickly as it comes. But success built upon patience has a foundation that can endure life's changing seasons. So honor your own journey with the respect it deserves. Stop apologizing for the pace of your progress. Stop believing that your value depends on how quickly life unfolds. Every sunrise has its appointed hour. Every river reaches the ocean in its own time, and every seed breaks through the earth when its season has fully arrived. Your story is not behind schedule. It is unfolding according to a rhythm that belongs to you alone. Walk forward without resentment. Celebrate the victories of others without doubting your own future. And trust that when your season comes, it will not need comparison to prove its beauty. It will stand as a quiet reminder that patience never asks you to race against another soul. It asks you to faithfully become the person your own destiny has been waiting for all along.